seen this finna be a tough spread. Now I got your attention. Let's switch dimensions. I think they need me in this competition. Thanks to influences, it's my ambition. Also envision my path so I complete the mission. Yeah, I'll never rest, regardless of all the pain and the stress. Yeah, say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest, regardless of all the pain and the stress. Yeah, say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest, regardless of all the pain and the stress. Yeah, say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest, regardless of all the pain and the stress. Yeah, I'll say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. Yes.
Welcome to the last sip. I am your host, Mac Mans, aka Motivational Muscle. You see the new digs, you hear the new vibe. Want to thank y'all for tuning in. Before I get started, as I always say, I never spill the tea. I do keep a kettle that bubbles over, but I'll always take the last sip. Agua. Let's get another applause going, y'all, today for the agua. First off, I want to thank everybody following me on YouTube at Motivational Muscle 74. That's muscle spelled M-U-Z-C-L-E. And I want to thank you for following me on YouTube. Also on Facebook at Ontario Hill Blue checkmark verified. If you had a wonderful Father's Day, I want to say to all of y'all fathers, happy Father's Day in case I missed it. Hope you had a wonderful Father's Day. I did too. That's why today's show is going to be brought to you by Pitbull Silver Pro. Now, if you're a man and got to get them haircuts like I do and don't have nobody to do it for you, or you can't find a barber in your area, or if you're a lady who loves a man with a nice, slick, shiny head, Pitbull Silver Pro is where it's at. This is one of my Father's Day gifts. You guys, this is top-notch self-care. Us men, we got to be on it. That self-care is something for real, something serious. You get a chance, go on Amazon, eBay, go to your local store if you can, but never forget what to use. Use the Pitbull Silver Pro. It is what it is, baby. You want that nice shiny glow? You got that glow? Well, y'all, today's show is super, super important. The topics today, I usually throw some humor in what I'm doing, but today is a serious show. As I was going through my feeds and digging up my news stories to bring to my breaking news, I had some serious confliction in myself. Because the stories I choose, like the first set of stories, the first three, as you know, I usually take certain criminals and crimes and let you know how dumb they seem and how dumb the criminals were. The second set usually have a little bit of comedy, but not today. The second subject I have is called Killer Custody. And these stories will tear jerk you. They will make you mad. But as I always tell you with these stories about anything dealing with children and parents, the whole principle is to help you understand that you need to love your kids and treat them better than the world would treat them. And that is on serious. Now, that laughter came from the fact that we're going to talk about some dumb criminals. So once again, let's give another laughter for these dummies. And the ding ding, because this is what we're going to get. You know how I get down. I will ding them. I'll ask what were they thinking. I'll give them a smack. And I'll laugh at them because these are some dumb criminals. So, the first story. In Minnesota, 7 people were in litigation for running a hunger scam. Now, if you know what a hunger scam is basically they're supposed to be feeding someone. A hunger scam is when you have a scam where you're taking in funds to feed those in need. Well, these 7 are in trouble because while doing litigations, they attempted to bribe one of the jurors. The 7 people in question ran a foundation called Feeding Our Future. Now, what ended up happening was this foundation was supposed to be feeding children during the pandemic. So when you do that, you get subsidies and government funding. These people poured in $49 million of funding from the government. And they were supposed to use it to feed children. They claimed that they pushed out 18 million meals is what they claimed out of $49 million. These 7 individuals split this money and decided to live lavish. They bought homes, they furnished businesses, they basically lined their pockets. Is what they did. Now, if that wasn't dumb enough, knowing you would eventually get caught, because it was during the pandemic, and I know it's a lot of people out here, y'all might know somebody that end up taking pandemic money to start businesses, and those the PPP loans, I don't know what they're called, but there was loans that were given out for people with businesses to cover payroll. Well, the dumb thing that these idiots did was they decided to send $120,000 bribe to one of the jurors. The bribe was for the juror to say that they were not guilty. Now, you want to know how they got caught doing this? Well, in the midst of everything going on, the person that they sent to drop the money off, because these 7 people were in custody at the time, the person that was sent to drop the bribe off knew the juror's name. Now, you would say that's no big deal, but it is, and I'll tell you why. Only person that knew the jurors' names were the prosecutor, the judge, the lawyer, and the defendants. Which means the prosecutor ain't going to send a bribe because he's trying to get the guilty plea. The judges are going to send a bribe because the judge is the one that throws the gavel down. Now, it could be the lawyer, but I'm thinking to myself, defense attorney, that don't sound too well on you, especially when you're trying to have your reputation be upheld because you are the defense attorney. And be honest, defense attorneys, they defend some of the slimiest, most disgusting, guiltiest people in the world. But their job is to either get you a lighter sentence or just get you off, period. So what that leaves left is the defendants. And so they decided to do an investigation, and yes, it was the defendants. They had someone go to the juror's house. They ended up calling the juror by name, dropping off $120,000 to the juror, and they come to find out that the juror reported it. So now how dumb do you look? People, if you're going to commit a crime, which you shouldn't, but as I said, back in the day, criminals had all their bases covered when they committed crimes. Y'all, we have had a rash of some of the dumbest criminals, from the ones stealing used cooking oil to these people here. You really thought you were going to get away with $49 million, saying you pushed out 18 million meals to children? Y'all, this is why it's so hard for people to give money to people on the corner. This is why it's so hard for people to donate to foundations and good causes, because people are worried about stuff like this. All these scammers out here that use these well-known resources that are there to feed, that are there to house, that are there to clothe, that are there to take care of things, and they abuse them continuously. And you wonder why people don't have a heart to give or donate. It's because of stuff like this. Maybe it's just human nature, or maybe you're just a dumb criminal. And as I always say, what were you thinking? Story number 2. Y'all, this one's going to get a giggle, and I'm going to tell you why. When you're a man of God or a woman of God, there's certain things you do and you don't do. And being shiesty is supposed to be one of them. But we know how that goes with some people. They use that office or use that platform to become wealthy. Well, I'm going to tell you about a guy that tried to do that and got caught. In Dallas, Texas, Pastor Whitney Foster created fraudulent deeds to take over 3 churches. This man literally went into an office and created deeds to take over churches. He said he wanted to build his congregation up. What happened to you, Bill? What happened to you getting your church and having people come in? Word of mouth, having a good sermon, doing things for the community, getting your name out there. That's not how you want to do it. Mr. Foster decided he's going to take over churches and build a congregation that way. So what ended up happening was Mr. Foster ended up getting caught up. And I'm going to tell you how. Mr. Foster went into a church with the board and told them that he had a deed, which he did. He said the church was sold to him for $10. Only problem was the person that he said sold it to him never had ever been on that board. You ask me why I applauded then. I applauded because the people that were there were smart enough to catch the scheme. They deserve an applause. Because what they stopped was a ring of churches being taken over. This man had 3 churches taken over, which were valued at $800,000. $800,000. He stole 3 churches and lied about having the correct deeds. They were never his churches. He was creating fraudulent deeds and fraudulent receipts, saying that he purchased these churches. The man had went to services at these churches as well, knowing that this person that he claimed was on the board was not on the board. But because they stood up and took action, they were able to catch him in the midst of his lies. Here's the crazy thing. During the testimony, during the sentencing, by the way, they sentenced him to 35 years in prison for a felony. And the felony was felony theft because he literally stole property. Now, if you don't know the law, anything over $500 is considered a felony. So you got to think $800,000 is a big felony. We're doing the sentencing and the judgment part of the trial. They scratched up 7 more fraudulent deeds. So you know what happened then? Yeah, he got smacked. Y'all, 10 fraudulent deeds in all. What were you thinking? And as I always do, I always give you a story, a caveat afterwards. This is where people have problem helping or giving any type of credence to a good church setting. It is not, this man, I'm going to say now, this man does not represent all godly people. Let's get it straight. He does not represent all spiritual people. But what he did could diminish what many people have tried to fight forever. There is such a stigma on the spiritual community that they have been trying to fight to get everyone to understand that there's not always people with the best interests at heart in the spiritual realm. But for those who are upright walking for God, these type of people destroy the whole concept of what's supposed to be going on. This is one of the dumbest cases I've ever heard in my life. You're going to go to jail for 35 years, sir, for stealing churches. And we ain't talking about the chicken. There's no other way you could have got a congregation together. And then for the fact, I don't know if y'all know about the Dallas-Fort Worth area, those police and that judge and the judges and prosecutors down there, they don't play. You chose to do this in an area that is highly saturated with churches, that is highly saturated with law enforcement, that is highly saturated with government that puts a smackdown on anybody that's getting out of line. And you chose to do one of the dumbest felonies. You really thought you were going to get away with fraudulent deeds and collecting buildings. What were you thinking? These crimes are just so senseless. You literally tried to get away with stealing a church building. Y'all, these last two crimes I gave, just think about this. We got one set of people that are sitting here getting money from the government, $49 million worth of money, I might add, to feed children that they never feed. You got another guy who's walking around with fake fraudulent deeds, committing felony now, to steal churches. These are two areas that are supposed to be sacred, spiritual and children. And they took both these areas and muddied them up. And I say it again. What were you thinking? Y'all, this last one is crazy. Now, this is only just dumb. This is emotionally wrecked. Remember when we were talking about a person's personal profile and a person's psychological profile and how there are two different things? That is so serious. This one, the story I'm going to give you right now, tugged at my heart, and it also irritated me. Because you got to watch who you're dating. In Detroit, Michigan, a young lady by the name of Cinnamon Rigmaiden, 31, got curved by her man. Nothing big about that. I mean, people break up all the time. It's not the fact that they broke up, it's what she did in reaction to that. After being told he did not want to be there any longer, Cinnamon kept calling. The man wouldn't answer the phone. Cinnamon proceeded to go to the local gas station and buy 75 cents worth of gas. She went to this man's home where he was there with him, another young lady, his 53-year-old mom who was in a wheelchair. She's half her body's paralyzed. She's in a wheelchair. And her father. And also his father, this young man's father. Cinnamon proceeded to go to the door, throw a homemade bomb in, and use the gasoline as an accelerator. She set the whole house on fire. She gets in her vehicle, takes off, and it doesn't call 911 anybody. She calls this man and threatens him and tells him his house is on fire, not knowing he's inside. So during this process, he's trying to get him out, the other lady out, his dad out. They couldn't get the mom. The 53-year-old mother that was deceased from the fire. This young man had to watch his mom burn to non-existence. Y'all know I do a lot of joking and laughing when I come on my podcast, but I told you today was going to be serious. No relationship is worth losing your life. Some people aren't stable enough to be adult enough to be in a relationship. Being 31 years old, 34, whatever, 31 to 34, you would think you'd be out of that stage of jealousy. Now, when you're young and you're a teenager, you have moments of jealousy. You have moments of anger. You have moments of denial. Moments of feeling like someone has just pushed you and ignored you. And so you might act out. But when you are 31 years old and older, you should know better. And this lady's a mother. Cinnamon is a mother. So now not only did you destroy your life, you destroyed your child's life. Your child will grow up without you. Because young lady, you're going to prison for a long time. The story's not over. After Cinnamon leaves the scene of the crime, she decides to go to McDonald's. She meets someone there and she buys drugs. And if I'm not mistaken, it was crack. She decides to go to a hotel and go on a crack smoking binge after she did what she did to this young man and his family. People, we got to watch who we're dating. As I said before, you got to do the research, do the background. I've said it many times before. You can't just be letting anyone around your family, anyone around your children, you can't let anyone into your circle. Now, when a person is done dating someone, to me, they always say it's none of your business. But to me, I think it is. Because the fact is this. If you're going to date me or be in my family or be in a relationship with me, why are you and the person you were with before not together? So I said, well, that's none of your business. Yes, it is. Your history matters to me. When you go to a job, they ask your job history, don't they? Dating me is like an application. I got to know your history. I got to know what's going on. For the fact this young lady was so upset that this young man broke over her, that you would go to his house, set the house on fire, and decease his mother, who was in a wheelchair, disabled, and she couldn't get out. Then the fact that you didn't call anybody, you go to the McDonald's to eat whatever and buy cocaine and go to a hotel and smoke. Did anybody not see this in her psychological makeup? Do y'all not understand how harsh this crime really is? And on the other hand, topsy-turvy. As this young man curbed her, I hope, young brother, that you didn't do nothing wrong to this woman before y'all separated. Because passion crimes are serious. That is a serious thing. Because if you did anything, I'm not going to say that what she did is right, because we are way over the top with that one. That is so wrong. But you have to watch how you treat people in your relationship. Did you ever hit her? Did you lead her on and think something else? Have y'all not seen the movie, It's a Thin Line Between Love and Hate, with Martin Lawrence and Lynn Whitfield? You can't play with each other, man. You can't be out here playing games with someone you're going to date. Everybody don't play like that. Some people ain't mentally stable to take rejection. Some people ain't mentally stable to take a no. You can't be playing with people's lives and emotions. Love is not a game. And that's how I would tell anybody out here that's listening, especially you young people. Don't be out here in these situational ships, what you call them. Don't be doing this, y'all. Find someone and be with that person. But before you get serious, do your background checks. Do your research. Make sure you're not dating somebody that's kind of not there all the way. Make sure you're not taking on somebody that has a lot of other baggage. Does this guy even know if she was hurt before by another man and he did something that the other guy did? So it's like a carryover in a relationship? We all have traumas we deal with. I just never went this far, to this extreme, to hurt someone. And then the young lady, after being caught, said she wanted this young man to feel the pain that she felt. Oh, he's going to feel it. But you went over the top. And young lady, I'm here to tell you, they're going to put you under the jail. All I can say is, what were you thinking? Wow. Well, y'all, this one, I take a little breather for the agua real quick. Another applause for the agua because it is so good. I told y'all today it was going to be serious. There's a lot of things out in this world, man, that people don't cover, they don't talk about because they try to be Mr. Feel Good News. Here at The Last Sip, we don't do that. I hit subjects that are important to you for you to know. There's people out here doing these type of things. If you just be careful. I'm what you call your conscience. I'm what you call your awareness. I can say things because it's my podcast. Like you can say things because it's your podcast. Now, my subjects now are going to take a turn. If you thought the lady was bad, what she did to this young fella's family, I got some stuff for y'all. My next subject is called killer custody. When you are a parent or a step parent and you have children, or if you're, okay, let me rephrase that. If you're a parent, you got to watch who you allow around your children. I've said it millions of times. I'm going to continue to push that button. You can't like every woman or every man around your kids, especially when you date them, because they might be hiding some things about themselves that you don't know nothing about. Also, when you're connecting with somebody to become a parent, you got to make sure you're not dating. Like I said before, listen to the case about the fire. You can't be dating the wrong person because it might not end up good for you. My first story happens in Larange, Louisiana. A family calls the police because they're worried about the daughter, who they think could be in some type of danger. Now, automatically, I heard this story. I'm thinking to myself, the boyfriend must have been an abuser or something going on. And I don't mean to read into it like that, but if the family thinking she's in danger, something was going on. Well, unbeknownst to the family, she was never going to answer the phone for them. They ended up going to the house of the police, and when they walked in, what they found was just terrifying. The young lady was on the ground unalived. She was deceased. Now, the thing that's even more terrifying was she had 2 children, 2 daughters, age 3, age 6. They were missing. Also was missing was the boyfriend, Daniel Callahan. So what ended up happening next was they put out an Amber Alert for the children, and they do a manhunt. Now, this young man by the name of Daniel Callahan had drove all the way down to the edge of Louisiana, close to New Orleans. He knew he was in trouble, and they were coming to get him. What he did next was just so, oh God, it was just so gruesome. And as a man, it make me just want to. This young man, knowing that he's on the way to getting caught, takes the 2 young children that he kidnapped from her, 3 and 6, 2 girls, takes them out to the woods and tries to eliminate them. He succeeded with the 3-year-old. Before he can complete the mission, he tried to run off with the 6-year-old. He was apprehended by the cops and the marshals and the sheriffs. They went out to the woods and found the 3-year-old girl's body in the woods, just laying there. Now, as a parent myself, as a grandparent, that anger done sent chills down my spine. Because that could have been any one of our children, any one of our relatives. That could happen to any one of us. Because this young lady met an unstable man, a jealous young man, unstable. And she chose him at the time to be a step parent to these 2 young ladies. Y'all, the situation gets worse. When the police went to search through things, this man had cages, chains, all kind of stuff. The area he took the girls was known for trafficking. As a father, I want to put my hands on this dude. I want to put my hands on this guy so bad. This young man was in his 30s. And I say it again, like I said with the case before. If you can't have a relationship at that age, you shouldn't be in one. Now, I don't know the psychological makeup of this character. But for the fact he had enough common sense to do this to this lady, take her kids, and was going to put them into trafficking, if that be what he was going to do. But from what the evidence says, all the stuff they found, that's what his purpose was. And this man was allowed around kids, 2 young girls. There had to be something about this guy that said this about him. There had to be something about this young guy that told you he was this type of character. It had to be. I'm not going to sit here and believe that there was no way in the world that nobody had any report on this guy for anything before. There had to be something going on. Had to be. This is not just something you come out of the blue and just start doing. This is not something you randomly get one more like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take this person out and steal the kids and put them into sex trafficking. No. The mental capacity of some of these people that do these crimes, especially with these babies, is sickening. I know they might have had things happen to them when they were younger. They might not have everything wired right in their head. But dang, y'all, these is kids. We have so many. How many stories do I got to cover about stuff happening to children? Y'all don't understand my passion for this. I was a single father. I'm raising an autistic granddaughter. You gotta have somebody to love and care for these kids. You know how much it takes to hold a tear back when I read these stories, and before I bring them to you, before I bring these stories to you, I go through them and read them myself. I research them. And this is just so sad to see stuff like this. A grown man. For any grown man to go out and do this for any grown man to do this to young girls is sickening. And it's an epidemic that we need to put these people somewhere that they can't ever get around children ever again. Because this is serious. Y'all, we got to do a better job protecting our children, especially these young girls. It just gets me so fired up when I see stuff like this, because I know that it's just this type of stuff is so horrible. And you read stories about this, story about this every single day. There's something else coming about somebody's done these to kids. And this man was supposed to be a loving person to these children. But not only did he do what he did to the mother, but he takes off with the kids. I don't know anymore. Because as a human being, as a person with compassion and a heart, I'm called a soft guy. Because I have a loving heart. What you see from me is what you get. If you ever meet me in public, the way you see me is what you get. I'm a loving guy. I am genuinely a loving guy. Do you ever know I don't have no dark past? I ain't always been the best guy. I've been a fighter. I've been a nerd. I've been somebody here that wouldn't mind, protecting what he got to protect. I ain't always been the best guy, but I've been a loving guy. And I believe in protecting these children. That is serious. I don't know what people are thinking about when they let people do this to these kids. You got to protect them. Y'all, this last story is the worst story of all the stories I have today. And it fits right into killer custody. I'm going to take my little paper. I'm going to throw it to the side. Because this is something that's from the heart. The story just broke me completely down. The story is a year old. And when I went through to find this, a lot of people still haven't heard of this. It's like a lot of these stories are buried. You don't hear them. Because they pump so much other garbage in front of your face. The stuff you need to be knowing about you don't hear. Well, y'all, this is somewhere down south. And I want to say maybe the Florida area, if I'm not mistaken. There was a young lady. A matter of fact, I'll read it to you. On March 29, 2023, 20-year-old mother of one. I won't say her first name. I'm going to leave that alone. I will give you her last name in respect to the family. Miss Jeffries was hosting a birthday party for her 21-year-old boyfriend, Mr. Mosley. The party was held in her Lincoln Shores apartment complex in St. Petersburg, Florida, and both families were in attendance. However, everybody left the party around 5:30 p.m. So that left Miss Jeffries and Mr. Mosley alone with their son, who was 2 years old. The following morning, the family tried to call Miss Jeffries and could not get a hold of her. Wondering what was going on. They go to her home. They find her on the floor stabbed 100 times. Now the kicker is Mr. Mosley and the baby is gone. The 2-year-old baby is gone. They can't find Mr. Mosley or the baby. Two days later, after searching for the baby, the family planned for the baby. 2 days later, officers are at Lake, I want to say it's Magori. I'm not sure exactly what it is in Florida. They're at the lake. They run into an alligator chewing on something. Y'all know where I'm going. The officers shoot the alligator. Alligator drops what it's chewing on. It's the 2-year-old baby, y'all. This breaks my heart. The alligator was chewing on a 2-year-old baby. They couldn't find the father at the time, but then they found him eventually in the hospital with knife injuries. So now the case is up in the air. What happened to her? What happened to the baby? And who injured Mr. Mosley? Now you want my theory on it? And like I said, it's my podcast, so I'm going to give you my take. My theory is something happened at the party that Mr. Mosley didn't like. Or he did something after the party. But most of the time, this sounds like a passion crime. Like either something was going wrong, or somebody hit on her or something at the party, something like that. He got upset and got to arguing with her, and he did what he did to her 100 times. He takes the child, because the child saw what was going on. He takes the child. He tries to get rid of the child, eliminate the child, and leaves the child out there, and the alligator gets the baby. Now, the whole time he was missing, they couldn't find him, and now he's in the hospital wondering who attacked him. My theory is either he got injured during the knifing that he did to her, or something happened during the time of getting rid of the baby. But either way it goes, Mr. Guilty. The sick thing about this is Mr. Mosley was this baby's father. Not a stepdad, not a random boyfriend. He was the baby's father. Y'all, I'm a father myself. You know how bad that hurts? You're supposed to take that young man and raise him to be a grown man, a part of society. Instead, you got rid of her and you did something to the baby. And in fact, they found this baby in the alligator's mouth in the swamp. Be careful who you are having children with. Be careful with who you're in a relationship with. Be careful who you call bae, who you call boo, who you call queen, who you call king, who you laying down with. Be careful, people. If a man or woman is putting their hands on you, that is not a good relationship to be in. If you have a good man or a good woman, be with them, respect them, because you don't want to be out in this dating field right now with all these crazy people out here. You don't want to be caught in the midst of a situation that you cannot back out of. You can't be out here dealing with people that are not emotionally stable, who can't take no. That is one of the biggest downfalls of our society right now. We are raising a generation, all these crimes I told you about, all these people were 35 and younger. The house fire, the young man taking the two baby girls. This case here, this was an older young lady. I'll go back again. The young man was 21. She was 20, he was 21. Y'all not notice the ages of these people in these cases? Our youth in our society has been put through so much. The images, the portrayal of what life's supposed to be, the fast life, the this, the that, and make it this way, do it that way, is destroying the minds of our youth and our children. When we were growing up, we learned how to have relationships. We learned that everything was not going to go right. So you worked through that. You made it through that. Your mom and dad, I ain't gonna lie, my mom and dad had scuffles every blue moon. But not to the point where somebody got hurt. You might have somebody leave and slam the door and be gone for a couple of minutes or something. But you never, ever had them where they were doing this to each other where somebody could end up unalived or deceased. What is this world coming to? This younger generation is doing all this situational shit. I'm in a situational shit. Doing all this free relationship engagement stuff, but not actually putting nothing down on paper or being with each other. Playing house, never getting married. I don't need a piece of paper. Well, that's the issue. Because if somebody doesn't know you're committed to them, they just can run free all day long. And that causes emotional rift between two people, which makes somebody unstable. And then this stuff happens. I just gave y'all stories today about people going through emotional distress for not being together with someone, for people going over the top during an argument, and a bunch of endangerment to children. America, the world, when are we going to wake up and put our foot down and start to make a change? Y'all, today I'm glad you tuned into the podcast because those are things that had to come off of my chest. I literally teared up when I heard that last story about that baby. I teared up when I heard about the young ladies. Because this type of stuff goes on every day. And a lot of it is never told to people, swept underneath the rug. Because either we don't pay attention or we are not told about it. But right now, our society is in danger. Our children are a target. Our youth has been destroyed from so many negative things. This negative music, this negative imagery, the fast dollar, the loose lifestyles. And us as an older generation, we're scared to fight back because everybody tells us we shouldn't fight back. We can't fight back. Don't judge. Don't put your foot down. Let everybody have their freedom. Be your child's best friend. I will not. I was raised old school. I was raised to a community. It took a community to raise a child. We didn't go out here doing things to them. We protect them and lifted them up. Be a mentor to somebody young that's around you that you see going through something. Help them out of their situation. Only way to solve the problem is to be a solution to the problem. That's the only way we're going to make it. Well, thank y'all for tuning in tonight to The Last Sip. I want to send a shout out to Untitled, the artist who did my theme song. Also, I want to send a shout out to my boy Action Jackson. That's right. I call him Coach. I call it that's just my coach, man. Nice guy. He has been there. Jonathan Hope gave me an outsource when I needed one when I was stressed out. You guys, and that's a special announcement. I will be going back to training. Now, I prefer to be a manager because I ain't got the world's best knees. I do stay in shape, but I'll be going back to training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the podcast times are going to change. From here on out, on Tuesday, the last sip will be at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. And now I'm moving the show back to Fridays, y'all. That's right. Moving it back to Fridays. That's right. Party time on Fridays. So you got me right. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. This is starting next week. Tuesday at 5 p.m. And Fridays at Fridays at 6 p.m. So the next show this week will I'll let you know. It's either gonna be Thursday at 5 p.m., which it probably will be because I'm gonna go ahead and get all this week of Thursday and Friday. But the show's switching up. I say again, it'll be Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. The old time I used to have. So that's a good thing. Y'all, you know how I get down. I want to tell you how much I care about y'all, how much I love y'all for being fans, how much I love y'all for looking out for me, how much I love y'all for supporting me. I love it. I picked up 10 new subscribes on YouTube in the last week. Hey, y'all, like I said, I don't have a lot of people that follow me. It's not with me, the quantity, it's the quality, and I appreciate y'all for that. I love y'all for everything y'all do. Keep looking out. The book's on the way. The LLC is pumping and jumping. Also, you guys, like I said, when I get to doing the wrestling thing, I will put up some podcast stuff from that. So you guys get to see all that stuff too as well. I also want to tell how much I care about y'all and love y'all for being who you are. And thank you for always subscribing, always being there. And with that being said, this is Mac Mans. This is The Last Sip. And I'm out.
Regardless of all the pain and the stress, yeah. Say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest. Regardless of all the pain and the stress, yeah. Say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest. Regardless of all the pain and the stress, yeah. Say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. I'll never rest. Regardless of all the pain and the stress, yeah. I'll say it with my chest, I was destined to be the best. Yes.
Last house mix.